The early thousands Disney either goes down as underrated or pretty good to really bad, and where did they go wrong? Let's find out where the Atlantis Lost Empire lands, because I personally believe I have a strong opinion on this. So for me, Atlantis, the basic principle of what the story is, it's literally about a guy who is really nerdy and decides to go look for Atlantis, and him and a few other, let's say, explorers go down to go look for this lost undersea world. The problem I have with this is that that's a great story. I think it's a great story worth telling. But Disney don't do a great job. I think it becomes quite boring, and out of all the Disney classic movies to do and all the great stories to tell, this was definitely one that Disney definitely needed to capitalise on. However, the animation looks a bit funky for what they're used to doing. Two, I think that whilst the voice acting was great, I don't think they necessarily put the story in an entertaining manner, especially for younger kids. That's the way I see it, is that, let's be honest, at least with Brother Bear, if you're not a fan of it, at least visually, you're going to be like, oh, that's a bear, that looks cuddly, that looks nice. I'm not saying that you need to make Milo a bear, but at the end of the day, you've got to make it exciting, you've got to make it enjoyable, and I don't think they quite got it right. Don't get me wrong, it's not the worst Disney movie I've ever seen. That belongs to probably something like, I don't know, Princess and the Frog. That was pretty shit, right? Yeah, probably Princess and the Frog. But there's tons and tons of bad Disney films, and I wouldn't say this is the worst. It is watchable. But I don't think the villain's that great. I mean, he's predictable. You can see that he's got an agenda. He's sort of like a general. And the reason why is he's going down to the Atlantis underworld seems to me more like for a profitability type of thing, or to get a weapon of some sort. So at the end of the day, you always saw that villain coming a mile off. So everything about the film seems very basic. And basically, this comes on the back of 90s Disney. Let me just remind you a few of the names that were in 90s Disney. Lion King, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast. You literally had Mulan, I think that was 90s, I think. All these great 90s films, and that's not including the Pixar's, that's just including what is under the Disney Classic banner. I mean, they are strong. And then you start off the thousands Disney Classic banner with the likes of, don't get me wrong, I like Brother Bear, but it's not at those sorts of levels. I mean, Atlantis was 2000, and that didn't start, 2000, 2001, something around that. And that didn't start off great either. So there was nothing that really stood out in those early thousands Disney classics, and it felt that Disney classics had had its day. And that's what I feel with this one. Was it a missed opportunity? Possibly. I mean, there was definitely a great story worth telling. I just don't quite think they executed it how it should have been done, though. Michael J. Fox's voiceover was fantastic. No judgment there, and I think some of the other voiceovers were brilliant. They were really detailed. I think they really put their heart and soul into making this trying to work, and especially in the early thousands, Michael J. Fox had transitioned from being an on-screen actor, but then he couldn't do it anymore due to his Parkinson's disease, and then went more into the sort of stuff that we see now in the voiceover realm, because I think he also did Stuart Little around this time as well. But yeah, I think those kind of films that I mentioned were 10 times better than this one, and I just think that the Disney cycle had dried up a little bit. But other than that, I think this movie is predictable. I wouldn't suggest going watching it, because to be fair, I think there's 10 times more better Disney classic movies to go and watch. To summarise, this is a 6.3 out of 10, and there's not much else to say about this pretty basic Disney movie. I think it's alright, but out of the more entertaining Disney classic movies, would I pick this one? No, not in a chance. Would I pick this one above those 90s ones that I've already mentioned? Bear in mind, there's loads more which I haven't even mentioned from the thousands and the tens, which are 10 times better than this film. But do let us know your thoughts down in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet seen our movie review on Scooby-Doo and the Legend of the Fantasy Zone, then I think you definitely need to check that out by clicking on screen.